Let's get it. This is Life's Essential Ingredients with Jeff and a Mike, where we hope to inform, inspire, and transform lives, one essential ingredient at a time. Welcome to the show. Pashalito, we're back, baby, and we are in season 2 of Life's Essential Ingredients. I really can't believe I'm saying that right now because that's just crazy. Mike and I started this during the pandemic to just connect and see each other and obviously try and help listeners, even though it started out with just us listening to our own show, trying to help each other. We're in 27 countries now, which is incredible. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in from all over the world. And thank you, our guests, who take time to come and share what's truly essential in their life. And so I would love to welcome our guest today, Shawna Schuh, coming from Gaston. Is that how you say that, Shauna, Oregon?
Perfect. Yeah.
Right. I want to say Gaston, just from Beauty and the Beast, but Gaston, up to 47 in Oregon and living out in the country. From researching you, sounds so cool, and going to have a great conversation. And if there are any pet lovers or animal lovers, this is the show for you, because Shauna has an incredible TED Talk that you have to check out that will really speak to you just as a human, but for sure, if you're a pet lover, you got to check that one out, and we'll let you kind of give everybody a highlight on that, Shauna. But good morning to everybody. I'm just going to introduce you, Shauna, and then we're going to get going into the show. So Shauna, first of all, where you can find her at her website, and it's ShawnaSchuh.com, ShawnaSchuh.com, or on her Instagram at Shawna Schuh. Okay, Shauna has dedicated the last 3 decades of her life coaching leaders to up their game, gain clarity with communication, and evolve into mastery. I love that. Shauna has been working with professionals in creating content that helps them think more strategically, communicate more effectively, and present more powerfully. Her philosophies include continual growth, critical thinking, and using service and gratitude as the cornerstone of success. Man, I'm just loving all this content already. Shauna's greatest gift is helping professionals experience and profit from profound insights about themselves and their business. Shauna, welcome to the show.
I'm whipped into a frenzy. It sounds good from the outside.
That's what I love, and I say this all the time. It sounds amazing from the outside, and don't take this the wrong way at all, Shauna, and anybody listening. But so that first little intro is incredible, what I just read, but at the same time, so basic and simple. And I'm at this point in my life where I'm just trying to do less but better.
Yeah.
And I think, life is just, it's happening so fast right now. And sometimes we can get wrapped up in adding more and more and more and thinking that that's the solution. But let's just do a few things and let's get down and really, really do them. And that's when I'm reading how you've dedicated your life. That's what I see. And so congrats on that. And I hope when I was reading that to you, you got a few goosebumps. It's like, yeah, that's me. That is how I've spent this time on this earth, trying to help people focus on what's essential. So we start with the thought of the day. And this is a good one. The task of leadership is not to put greatness into humanity, but to elicit it. For the greatness is already there. And that's from John Buchan. Why would I pick that for you? And what are your thoughts on that?
First of all, what a gift. Number one, to be on the show with both of you, even though Mike is eye candy is what I'm hearing, everyone. So if you can see him, you're going to agree with what he professes and the voice of Jeff. So happy to be here. And why you pick a quote. Your quotes do something in my life. If you were to say what's essential, and there are lots of ingredients to make an amazing life, and some of them are more essential than others, but really and truly, each little piece gives that flavor, and quotes give flavor to life. So for you to pick a quote for everyone is your gift into their life. So I'm just going to put that out.
I appreciate
and that you would be that it really is the greatness in someone. And what I think is what you've gleaned, or why you picked it, is because I see it in everyone. I think I've really had that through line. And when you look at it like that, I have dedicated my life. I remember when I was younger and speaking way more, even the pandemic sort of curtailed the speaking jobs. But I would say, be careful what you do for a living, because you are actually spending your life doing it. Like if you were to look at the currency of life, it's the time you have. And think about this for just a second. I mean, if you're driving along listening to this podcast, or you're listening to it in whatever way, and you're like, do I love what I do for a living? Because what you're giving is your life for it. That's what it costs. My life is spent helping leaders and I think everyone is a leader. And it's the best use of my time I could possibly ever imagine. So I'm glad that I'm giving my life for something important. And my clients, sometimes, whatever they might do, they're like, well, that's not that important. I work a lot inside. I have lots of different clients in different industries, but let's say it's mortgage people or title people. And like, well, does that change a life? Yeah, it does. You're helping someone get into their dream. It's how you look at your life. But if you don't dig it, get out now. Get out now.
I want to go back to one other quick quote, just to finish up this little intro piece that I think will really speak to you. And I've shared it on the show before. But it's, what I do today is very important because I'm exchanging a day of my life for it. And totally. It's exactly what you just said, and it just puts it in one sentence. It's just so articulate. And yeah, if we can slow down and realize that it does come with a price, and am I getting my money's worth? Hey, keep doing what I'm doing. The answer is no, I don't like that's costing too much. Then take a step back and figure out, hey, what can I do? And reach out and keep learning and growing. So, hey, I want to get in your Instagram, and I know you're not a huge Instagrammer. I'm not either, but in reading your tagline, it just got me fired up. I wanted to start the show, igniting leaders who ignite others. And I don't know if you can see our logo here, but my Pasha is wearing a hat, and C4 is an explosive. And so we speak a similar language. We have a process that we call light the fuse, which is kind of that just gets lit, and you're basically igniting, yourself to inspire and ignite change, growth, opportunity in others. So yeah, why did you pick that for your Instagram, and even, how do you do that for yourself and others?
Well, there's another quote that's kind of fun, and I don't know who said it, but it said that he was fired with enthusiasm because he wasn't fired with enthusiasm. And I love it. They fired him with enthusiasm because he wasn't fired with enthusiasm. And enthusiasm itself is in somebody is probably going to, I'm slaughtering this, but it's about the spirit within. And I guess that's where fire comes from. And a funny story, when I was younger, I read a book, and it was called I think it was called Jesus CEO, or within that era, and they were talking about analyzing yourself to figure out what element of the earth you are: fire, water, wind, or earth. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm water. That I'm a Pisces, and water is so soothing and it enriches life, and I'm water, and I just loved water. And so they said, ask 4 or 5 people what they think you are. And so I asked one of my best friends, and she said, oh, you're fire. And I'm arguing, right? I'm like, no, 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 I'm water. Water soothing, and fire burns, and fire can. And then I asked everyone I asked, they were like, Shauna, you're fire. I mean, you've got red hair, and you're enthusiastic, you're fired with your. And I remember one friend particularly, and I said, but I think I'm water, because I saw in my mind that fire was dangerous or can burn people. And she goes, do you know water can drown people? And I had not looked at the negative of that. So when you learn who you are, and I'm fire, then why would I not ignite? And everybody's got somewhere in them a spark of what they're passionate about, or that they want to help someone else. Because the more you live through life, and it happens at all different times, the more you realize that the greatest gift you can ever do is to serve other people. It's not about me. It's about what I can do to help someone else. Did that answer that question?
For sure, for sure. And you got my Pasho fired up. He's ready.
Absolutely fired up. The energy is coming right through the Zoom right here. I love it. Thank you. And my question is, you're teaching leaders how to become better leaders. I'm kind of wondering, when did you realize that you were a leader?
Beautiful question. And one of the things that I say in a lot of what I do is I believe everyone is a leader. The minute you realize that you have to lead yourself first. So it doesn't matter if you're 5 or 105. And that's why I believe so much in pets. Jeff said something about, if you love animals, this is the right place to be. Because when you have a pet at 5 or 105, you realize that you're responsible for their care. And that makes you a leader of them. So first, we have to lead ourselves with the way we think, the way we behave, what we say. And then if we're responsible for another living thing, even if it's a plant or a fish, it puts us in the leadership role. And I think I knew that at the very beginning. I don't know. My dad always used to laugh and say that Shauna just knew where she was headed. And I'm glad I knew that. But I think the minute that any of us, any human, just understands that they really are responsible for their own life, that's the switch that they're a leader. Did that answer your question, Mike?
It absolutely did. And we have 5 chickens. So I think I'm the leader of chickens now. So I'm excited about that.
And you know what? Chickens can be really good pets.
Okay. They don't listen to me like everyone else around here, but okay.
Yes, I would love this. Let's keep going with the pets. And I know you live out in the country in a beautiful part of the world. And I know have or I don't know if it's current or not, but a horse, a dog, and some other pets. What is it about pets that speaks to you, and kind of what have you learned from them, and why are they so healthy for us? And I know that's a whole bunch that I just threw at you all at once. So pick whatever part of it that you want to attack.
Thanks. Well, pets have overtaken America. They've overtaken the world, really. The pet industry is like recession proof, because we have found living with other species, and that's exactly what it is. We're living with other species that do not communicate like we do. Think about that for a minute. We're bringing them into our homes, into our beds. People are caring more about their pets. They will feed their pets before they feed themselves. So why is this? And I think it's our humanity. You mentioned that before. If we know that we can care for this other species, this entity, this spirit that is going to love us, even when they don't care about how much we make. My dogs like me better when I smell bad. I love that about them. So I kind of figured it out. I was always raised in the country, so I always had a chicken, I had cattle, I had my dad. We always had animals, and then it was our responsibility to take care of those animals. So I believe that pets teach something that we can't learn from anything else. And they don't complain when we mistreat them or if we forget to feed them. And yet the shame that we have if we let it go hungry or we abuse it. And that's where they're really looking at it, where it helps us be more humane if we can actually care for pets. And I believe every leader, I think a pet makes you a leader, but I believe that once you are in a leadership role, having a pet helps you. I had a leader I was working with, and they brought me in because he was a little aggressive and arrogant. And I love that. I love intelligent, wonderful people. And I'm like, you need to get a dog. And he goes, why would I get a dog? They're smelly. You got to take care of them. And I said, number one, you cannot fire a dog. And you can't fire that problem away. And number two, it will help you be a better leader because you will have to get out of yourself. And he got a dog ultimately and became a better leader, because when you have to care for something that cannot pick up its own poop, or you have to clean up after it, or you have to make sure that you're taking it can't do it itself. So what a gift. We're responsible for whatever we tame. So that's why, and I live on a farm, and I own a horse boarding facility as well. So, and not only do I have a horse, but there's like 25 horses in the barn at any one given time. It's a lot of manure. And I have two dogs. I have a gorgeous German Shepherd, and then I have a lovable mutt, a three-legged mutt. So
I love it. Yeah. Mike has two dogs. I have a boxer. I'm a recently retired nurse. And a good chunk of my career, I worked on a community college campus. And my good friend, Wendy Gomez, don't know if she's going to be listening at all, but if you are, I love you and miss you and appreciate you. But she was huge into dogs. And this was before kind of pet therapy was really a thing. And she ran across it, and she's like, hey, we need to do this on the campus. And I'm not trying to sound ignorant for myself, but yeah, pet my dog. Of course, you feel good. But even as a nurse, I'm a little bit embarrassed, but I didn't necessarily make such a strong connection after she started the program. And then seeing the way that students who would come in with anxiety attacks, panic attacks, depression, just stress, and just have them sit there and pet Sadie was really incredible. And immediately, in like a 15-minute session, and I think it's just what you're saying. And what I tell a lot of people that I coach, get out of your own way. And if you can do that and give yourself to others, in this case, Sadie or your pet, and really just allow yourself to kind of be free of whatever's going on, which is what happens. You're losing when you're petting. You're not focused on everything else, and your body's releasing the oxytocin, and you just start to feel a little bit better. And it's just incredible. So yeah, I love your idea for a leader or anybody for that matter should get a pet, because it's going to help you be a better person. I do want to get clarity. We're throwing this word around a lot, leadership. Can you define that? What is leadership to you, if you had to put it in a definition?
Thank you. And I'm going to step back and then go forward. That Theodore Roosevelt, after people came back from the war, made a comment that said, the best thing for the inside of a man is the outside of a horse. And I just, if you think about that, the brushing of it and the therapy of it. And so I'm with you. I get chills when I think about the therapy dogs or what they're doing for senior centers. That these animals just do so much for your health. Leaders are an interesting thing. I think some people naturally step up into it, or they are, they're not forced into it, but they see a need and they step up. I was coaching with a group, and they had hired a man that they wanted to take the secondary role to the leader, and he kept waiting for a title, and the leader wasn't going to give him one. They worked really without titles. It was, if it had to be done, go do it. And he really wanted to have the title. And we really realized that he wasn't displaying leadership at all. because it's not a title. Leadership is doing what's right when it needs to be done. Or you can lead when my definition is doing what's right when it needs to be done, really. And it's not necessarily taking charge, but if you're walking through the parking lot and you see garbage and you pick it up, you just displayed leadership because you did what was right when you saw that it needed to be done. And I think that that's when the natural progression shows up. Like no one else will step up and I'm doing it. That natural leadership is displayed.
I love that. So I'm gonna challenge you a little bit,
Sure.
a little bit of a loaded question, but what does what's right mean? You know, especially in the world today of having such a polarized people, where everybody's going to have a different definition of what's right. And I'm guessing if you're going to go speak to a group of 100 and you throw that out, you know, how would you help a client say, well, what does right mean for me?
Well, I think what is right is a for me situation, but there's also what is right for the world or what is right for other people. And the only way that we can get to what that is, and it does alter and shift based on who you're talking to, is to ask that question. So if I were to say, is garbage right for the world or right for this parking lot? No, it isn't. So that is a pretty standardized way. Most people would agree with me. So if you were to say, okay, but is it right for you? Then I'm not arguing and I'm not imposing, I'm asking. And I think the best leaders are the best askers. So many leaders believe that it is, or some people believe that leadership means dictatorship, or it means telling everybody what to do and delegating. And I've really got to lead these people and set the direction. Yes. And when you ask, you get cooperation. And when you ask, you find out what is right for you as a market, as you as an organization. Is it right for us to do it this way? And look at this ask to begin with. In my heart, I have to ask, am I treating this human right? Am I treating this dog right, cat right? And then the answer will provide itself versus I'm right and you're wrong.
I love it. I love it. And that's and that's what, C4 leaders. So, Life's Essential Ingredients is part of our nonprofit C4 Leaders, which is based on these 4 C's. And I'm just bringing this up because you just kind of, when you said best leaders are the best askers. So we define communication, and these 4 C's, are, with our name, C4 Leaders, explosive, powerful leaders. So to me, the first C is communication. And so a powerful leader is someone that listens with empathy, with the intent to serve. And so when you're saying, hey, we're the best leaders are the best askers, that just really spoke to me of, they're going to be the listening with empathy. And so I love that. In researching you, I watched a couple of your talks, and I loved your energy with them. Really, really good. But in one of them, you talked about pushing. And let's just explore that for the listeners and kind of what you're getting at with that.
Well, thank you. And so that was my second TED Talk. And it was supposed to be in Atlanta, but the pandemic had made us all do everything virtually. So I had fun with it. But you're mentioning, I used the story of a pig I had. Herbert the hogster loved this little hog, and he was like 200 pounds, and he got in the house. The story is he got in the house and I was trying to push him out. And I don't know if anybody's ever had a pig, but if you've ever had a pig, you can't push a pig. They're not going. And he's 200 pounds, right? And so I'm pushing and pushing and pushing. And my analogy is that that's how we live life a lot of times. We push our ideas. And we just talked about that with leaders. We're pushing our agenda. We're pushing our mission. We're pushing. And pushing really doesn't work. And in today's world, there's a lot of pushing going on. And then when you don't do it the way somebody else wants it, they're shaming you. So that's a form of pushing. And it's ineffective. And whenever I feel pushed, usually like a pig, I just put my feet down, my hoofs down in this case, and I'm going to stand there. And then you get either argument or you get pushed back, and then a fight ensues. So then as a leader, what would we say? If pushing doesn't work, number one, stop pushing. That's just quit pushing. And maybe if you happen to be a pusher and you know it, to elicit, like you two, Mike and Jeff, your friends, you want to be together, where you're like, hey buddy, I'm feeling you, you're on me a little bit. And then, oh, thank you, right? Help each other, because our natural inclination is to push our ideas or push our agenda or even push communication. We must communicate more. And so I would say you stop and you figure out, and usually this is an ask, what does this other person need or want? And I cannot tell. And so I'm like, what would the pig need? Well, pigs like food. And so I just went and got a bowl of food, and I'm shaking it. That pig just walked right out of the house. So what do people want or need? And by the way, I ask my clients all the time what people want. What do you want? And many people do not know. Mm-hmm. They really do not know what they want. They're living in a world where people are telling them, you need the newest this and you need the newest that. And they've really not gone into themselves enough to say, and it's not even overall, what I want is to be a good person. No, what do you want right now in this situation? And if it's to be understood or to listen, like you said, communication is a very big word. Or if it's to get along, then I'm going to have a completely different intent than if it's just to be here and be now and get my way. And I think a lot of people want to get their way, or they want to be heard so badly that they're not listening to anyone else.
Mm-hmm. And now you're trying to go deep, and I love that. That's what we do. And they want to be heard so badly that they're not willing to listen to anybody else. And I'm going to agree with that. But then I'm going to say back to your pets and how we've evolved as a species is by learning how to communicate, learning how to listen, learning how to connect, and that's the challenge, that I think we're facing now is I think people know what they want, but we're just so busy doing all these other things that take up so much time that we don't have time to really sit and filter through and then get down to, hey, how do I take action towards really living the life that I should be living? And then that's a whole loaded, topic we can spend hours and hours, because then the more you start living, the more life happens. And now I got bills and got this and got that. But I think if we can help specifically young people, learn to slow down and to try and keep life simple while they can, hopefully they can carry that forward to when they're adults, into just learning to keep things simple. And that's again a lot that goes. I see you kind of laughing, and but
no, I'm agreeing with you. But I have one way. We are living. Time has always been the same. It just has. All of us get 24 hours. It's all the same. It's how we use that time. Yes. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I think has happened to us as a species, as humans, especially Americans, is that we are filling time with things that prevent us from really thinking. When you said that they take the time to think, but if all I am is in front of my screens all day, or I want to watch TikTok, I don't know if you're on TikTok. It is so funny. And it is a time sucker. I've never seen anything like it. When I talk to people and I say, are you on TikTok? And they go, no, I go, don't do it. Because it's one short video after another, and they're interesting. And then you wonder, and it's so easy. But what happens is I am no longer thinking. I am being fed. So if I could say that there is a simple thing, and that's what you were asking, I'm smiling because the simplest thing is turn off the screen. And I'm taking a class right now about the subconscious, because if I'm going to coach and help my clients, which is what I do, then I will also be coached and educate myself. I could not recommend that they do if I don't. And one of the things they were suggesting is, if you really want to be successful, stop watching television. And now we don't have to watch television. We're watching Netflix or we're streaming. We're constantly in front of a screen. And I think, especially for the next generation, it's part of who they are. That, is there a way to challenge yourself to say, right after dinner, that we actually sit and talk to each other and we don't turn on the TV? I mean, think about this. People used to eat dinner together at a table. And when was the last time somebody did that? Dining rooms are not even popular anymore.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And that's the whole thing with, I encourage you when you get time to check out C4 Leaders. That's what we're doing. So that's the intent of our nonprofit, is to get people back to the table.
Right.
To sit and break bread together. And we have a very cool pizza truck that we go and make homemade pizza, sourdough, all homemade ingredients.
You're making me hungry.
Oh yeah, no, you need to don't go to c4leaders.org and watch some of the videos, because your mouth is going to be watering. And I definitely encourage you, if you're ever down in the Northern California area, to swing by, and I would love to make a pizza with you, let you pet my dog Jack, hang out and just talk life and life's essential ingredients. But I want to move on with this show, but that's an open invite to you and anybody listening. That's what we do. We just break bread. So you find me, Jeff, at c4leaders.org. That's my email, and would love to have you over for some pizza. Now, way back in 2006, you created this program, Create Your Ultimate Year. What inspired that, and has that evolved, and what's going on with that?
Wow. Yeah. 2006. You're going to laugh when I tell you this. It was, I had a gentleman that was a mentor to me, and he said, people need what you have to say. And so with his guidance, we built this, and it was every month I was working with professionals. We had like 70 people in it. I had all these sponsors. It was really successful. And yet I realized that just once a month, going in and learning something once a month wasn't happening. It wasn't doing it for enough people. And the more that I researched great leaders, great people who are living their best lives, an essential ingredient is a daily something, right? Having a routine that so works for you. So back in 2006, I decided, I think I started it the first year in 2006, or maybe in 2007, I said, I'm going to build an accountability team. So you will be on this call if you want to. It was totally up to them. 5 days a week at 5:15 a.m., because we're on the Pacific Coast, for a 15-minute check-in. On Mondays, you will say what you will be accountable for, but we will meet Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just for a quick check-in. And Friday, I'm going to read what you said you were going to do, and you have to say yes, no, or a percentage, no story. Well, what I didn't realize, Jeff and Mike, when I did this, is that to be on this call at 5 and have a theme and a quote and all that, I had to get up at like 4:30. I'm like, what was I thinking? Well, what happened is the first 3 months, I said, everybody's got to do it for 3 months because new habits take a while, right? At the end of 3 months, I couldn't wait to give it up. I was like, I'm not loving this. And everybody said, you can't give it up. I'm having gigantic success. All these things are happening in my life. I have been doing it every year since. This is what, 15 years? I have 2 women who've been on it that entire time with me. Other people come and go, and Monday through Friday, I am on a call with the only way to get on the call is if they've coached with me. because we're actually thinking at a completely different level. We don't use words like struggle, or we're at a different level. But people, I had one woman on, and she had the same goals on Monday, and she would say yes on Friday, and she released 60 pounds that year. I have people who do business growth. It is crazy what they use the 515 for, but it has been highly effective. And it was a process of, trial and error. And yet that one really works. So I would suggest it to anyone who's listening, that join mine, of course, but you could make your own. If you have accountability partners that want to meet on a day-to-day basis, 15 minutes is all we're on the phone. Did you do what you say we're going to do? Did you live your best life today? That's a yes or no. And if not, what could you improve tomorrow? And we're themed. So, and what's interesting, this week's theme, being on your podcast and so hysterical about living this day, it is about being in the present. So I'm using quotes about being present. And this is all we've got. You're stealing tomorrow if you focus on it. I mean, you're stealing today if you focus on tomorrow or focus on the past. This is it. We got it right now, this moment, listening or being on this podcast. This is it. This is the life we're living.
Man. Yeah, no, this is really, I'm going to have to follow up off the air with you on this one, because we could spend a lot of time on it, because it really is it's taken. So part of the C4 stuff, I created this process, this light the fuse process. And I just want to get a real quick feedback from you, and then we're going to move on, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. But that process is a accountability kind of / goal setting process. And so if you're looking to get better at something and grow, you need to define it. Okay. The second step to the process would be, how am I going to measure that? Okay, which is huge. And the more specific you can be on it, the more likely you are to achieve what you just defined. The third part, which is really speaking to me and why I'm taking the time to talk about this on air with you, is what I call teach it. And that's the accountability piece. And so I'm going to take what I'm working on and what I'm measuring, and I'm going to just gonna combine those in one sentence, and then I'm going to share that with somebody and say, hey, this is what I'm doing to light my fuse. And I'm bringing it to you so you can hold me accountable to when you see me. You can say, hey, Jeff, how are you doing with this? And then that person doing that lights their fuse too, because I'm going to be like, hey, thanks so much for checking me up. And then I think life happens. So the fourth part of the process, and then that's it, is you have to have your counters. Mike and I both played college basketball, University of San Francisco, which is where we met forever ago. He's a high school coach. I'm a high school coach. And sports are all about counters, no different than life. And so once you have your counters built in, then it becomes so much easier to deal when things don't go well. And so the fourth step is this if-then process. And so if this happens, and it gets in the way of me doing what I'm supposed to be doing to light my fuse, then I have my counter built in. Here's the action that I'm going to take. And so either which way, you're going to be lit. And what I don't know if that was a clear description, but what's your take on that real quick, and maybe even relating it to what you're doing? Because I'm personally fascinated with that accountability piece that you just shared.
Thank you. And you've got a great thing happening, and what a gift. When we're doing accountability, it's an interesting thing, because first, what am I going to do? And that's a scary, right? That's scary. Like if I say I'm going to exercise every day, and then I'm going to say, this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to tell you that this is what I'm doing, I'm fearful that I'm not going to do it. And then you'll think badly of me. So I see that can be that there's these issues. So where do you say, gauging it, I know that I exercised, but then how much? What's the counter? Or how am I tracking it? And so I don't know, is it getting better every day? Or is it that I will absolutely do it every day? I guess that's what my feedback would only be, because I got a little fearful there. You know what I mean? Like if I said, because I'm human and I'm going to foul up, or I just didn't get up and do it. And even though I would feel terrible to disappoint you, then maybe I would lie. Now, I'm not saying I would lie, but I'm saying that that's why people lie.
Yeah.
Because they don't want, or I'm going to say, I'm going to exercise twice this week because then I know I could do it. But what would be better for me is to say, so that's the only question, is when I'm really laying it down. And same thing with what I'm doing on the accountability. It's like, this is the goal. And then on Friday, what was it? So there's this leeway in there. And by the way, sometimes it's a percentage. And that's what gives, that would be the only thing I would say is when they say yes, no, or I did 66% because I missed one of the 3 days. At least they did 66%. And it gives people that cush. Did that help you at all?
No, it did for sure. And I think that's where, encountering what you were saying with the fearfulness, I think that's where it becomes important to really measure what is it that you're wanting to do. And you were bringing up exercise, and that's where I think the person who's doing this LTF process needs to slow down and say, okay, looking at everything going in my life, obviously I would like to be healthier. One way to be healthier is to exercise. Okay, so I would like to be healthier would be my define it. Measure it. Okay, I got a lot. I got 3 kids. I'm a single mom. I'm working 2 jobs. I know this is good for me. I can't do 5 days a week. Now I'm kind of in that space of being fearful because I know I'm not going to be able to execute that. So right out of the gate, my fuse is already fizzled out because I've set myself up for failure. But hey, for me, all right, on Tuesdays from 1 to 2, I can walk for an hour. And so my measure it is going to be every Tuesday from 1 to 2 p.m. I will walk for 1 hour. And then that's what in this case, this individual would share with the person that's their accountability partner.
Well, and may I stack on? Let's take this same woman, 2 jobs, kids, all this. What if, to just open up our hearts and our minds, say, I will move more today. And then I'm accountable. That means take a stair. That means park further away and walk. Just move more every day. Now it's not one time on Tuesdays. It's at the end with your accountability partner, the person you're talking about. Did you move more today? That's a yes or no. Yeah, I took more stairs, or I did 3 sets of stairs instead of 2, whatever it might be. And then you're building this muscle, this habit. Or the other piece is, I'm going to make better choices today. Did you make better choices food-wise? Hang on, let me think. Yeah, instead of the donut, I only had half of it. Now we're in progress. Instead of fear of, I had half a donut, negative. Hey, I only had half a donut, positive. Does that make sense?
For sure. And I know you got my Pasho all fired up again.
Yeah, I want to go get a donut right now. I'm just kidding. But, we always talk about on the show, Jeff always talk about helping people find their gift. And listen to all this. First of all, I want to thank you for sharing your gift because, yeah, it is motivational. It is inspiring to me personally, and I appreciate that. And as Jeff mentioned, we are high school coaches. And that's my goal, is to help these kids become leaders in whatever capacity it is. So to measure my success with these kids, what do you think are maybe 1 or 2 essential ingredients for these kids to have, or anyone to have, to be a successful leader?
Oh, what a great question. And I can say it right off the bat. And it's, especially this month, it's gratitude. So thank you for helping me. When people say thank you, when people are actually really grateful for coaching, for an opportunity to play, to an opportunity to do what's right. If you all agree that cleaning up afterwards or putting all the chairs away or whatever you take care of, and people say, thank you for helping me, and you say thank you. I think the most essential ingredient for life is to be grateful. So that would be number one.
Nice.
And then, right. And that's how I gauge it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's almost a showstopper right there, because there's so much that goes into that, being present, of getting out of your own way, of realizing that life is about serving others. There's so much that goes into just with that one word, that is powerful. And we're wrapping up. We're gonna end with how we always end. And I love this quote. It's by John Alston. The only thing you take with you when you're gone is what you leave behind. So now I'm going to go nurse on you. I did work at UC Davis in the trauma ICU for 12 years, taking care of people in really bad accidents, and I've been surrounded by death. And that is how I have been blessed to look at life, as it is a gift each and every day, which has been a big part of this show. But now you fast forward 40 years, and you are on your deathbed, and you are surrounded by your pets and your family and your people that you've coached. What is it that you want to leave behind inside them?
Wow, great questions. And what a gift you've been to the world. You and Mike both are doing great work. Bravo.
Thank you.
I have thought about this a long time as I live my life. Like, I look at my life, my end goal is that I would like to go to heaven, whatever that means to whoever's listening. I'm not in a hurry, by the way. I always want to put that in. Not in a hurry at all. Got 40 more years. I'm loving that. So but at the end of it, that I would meet my maker. And I have a feeling that he may ask me, did you do everything that I put in you to do? And I don't want to say, well, Lord, my parents, they kind of squashed me, or I married the wrong person, Lord, or whatever excuse you use right now is not going to be. My goal is that at the end of my life, I can say, I used it all. I gave it all, that I am completely dripped out, and that lives on. My dad, one time, he's a builder, and he said, Shauna, I build houses, and when I'm gone, those houses are going to be there. What are you building? And I said, well, Dad, I build people who then go and build other people who build other people. And that goes on for eternity. And he would, well, all right, So I build people who build people. I ignite people who ignite others. That brings us right back. And then the last thing is that I've decided, I hope, I pray, and on my last breath, I have fur under my fingers.
Man, well, what a good visual with that. And what a great way to end the show. Holy smokes. Listeners, it has been our honor to have Shawna Schuh. You can find her SHAWNASCHUH.com. She's doing a lot of amazing work to help her clients ignite greatness in themselves and others. And Shauna, we really appreciate you coming on. My Pasho and I have taken a whole page of notes, and excited for our listeners to get a lot out of this episode. Any closing comments that you would like to share with the listeners? And then other than that, we're out.
Well, probably only this. First of all, thank you so much. And thank you, listeners, is that you create your world, you create your day, you create your life by the way you think. So make your thinking magnificent.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got to just go boom. That just happened. We're at season 2, episode 2 with Shawna Schuh, coming from Oregon, and we out.